Second class. Today we're here to talk about cultural competence. Before we get going, the first thing I want to do is let you know this is not coming from the superintendent nor the commandant. They've been here throughout the week just for support because they realize how important this is. Next thing is, right now, the word culture has a very negative connotation to it because of what's going on the outside. So the next thing I want to do before we get started today is crush that idea that you have in your mind, that negative connotation. We want to get rid of that so that we can grow today as leaders. Thank you again. We'll get started with the definition of cultural competence. The definition is the ability to understand, communicate, and work with people regardless of their religion, their race, or their sex, through the understanding of one's own worldview. When we get to talking about one's own worldview, that can be described as a difficult pill to swallow because your own worldview is your ego. Your own worldview is your pride. That's everything that you've ever known. However, right now, what you're doing at this school, what you are getting ready to prepare yourself for, that pill must be swallowed. We must understand that we are not the only ones here. We must understand that though we are all here right now, we didn't come from the same place. That's what this cultural competence training is about. I come upon this restaurant. This restaurant had bright fluorescent open sign on it. Now, okay, it's an open sign, it's late at night. However, when you look through those glass windows, the lights are off. When you look through those glass windows, no one is in there working. How does that relate to right now? Well, seniors, said you guys have the tools. You've been out to sea for 300 plus days. So I'm hoping that after this, the light bulb goes on in your head, because I'm sure after that many days at sea, you're going to have a story that can relate. You're going to have a moral. It's something that you learned. That is why, and even second class, that is why you are that bright fluorescent open sign. But it's closed. No one's in there. So though that sign is on, no production is being made. Nothing's getting done. Well, please, guess what? You said you guys got to take the initiative to create a shift in mindset here at Kings Point. And guess what? You guys are those workers that have to go in. That's how this relates. You guys got to go in and turn the lights on and help the seniors. Because seniors, you guys might be on your way out, but there's still a lot to do. There's still a lot that you can do. So I don't know about you, but I ask myself every day, especially when you're coming to the end of an evolution of life, what have you done, not for yourself, but what have you done to create and cause an impact and leave a footprint? You can simply do that. It doesn't have to be massive. By having a couple conversations, maybe when someone comes and asks you, hey, how was your ship? Saying, okay, it was good, but let me tell you about what I experienced, where the ship went. How about we add those to those conversations? That's how you leave an impact, because you are now living and you are now breathing cultural competence. You are showing them with your actions that you learned this and you understand. That is why we are here today. That is what we are here talking about. So please, it's time to go to work. And how can you guys start? You might not think that you can, but it's simply respecting each other. It's simply understanding. That's how you guys can start right now, by building that culture within your class, that though we might not have the same view, we're going to talk this out, so maybe I can learn from you and you can learn from me. That is what this is about. So right now, we're going to bring up a team. And each person that comes up here has a story to tell. Each person up here not only has a story, but they have a moral or a lesson learned added to it. They're going to come up here, they're going to talk about it, and at the end, or even during, if you have questions, go ahead, raise your hand, ask a question. That is the environment, that is the atmosphere we created. That's why we're at BTU. Seniors, if you get that light bulb, let's talk about it at the end. Let's have a discussion about this. I understand you guys want to get out of here, but you will see that this is very important. And it relates to every single person in here. Because unlike any other academy, we are sending young men and women out to different countries, to face different ethnicities, and what kind of presence are we going to leave when we go out on all these ships? That is what this is about. So thank you. We'll bring everybody else up.
All right, so we'll start off by introducing ourselves. I'm Midshipman Joshua King, second classman. I was on the American Destroyer for my first sailing, and I went throughout the Middle East.
Second class. I was also on that first class.
I'm Shipping Christian Hammer, first class, and I had the opportunity to be at Chinese shipyard for about 106 days.
My name is Competence, second class, and I was on the President Truman, and I got to go to the Far East.
Hey guys, I'm Midshipman Osvaldo Perez, first class. I was on the Liberty Passion, we'll fly. We'll talk about that later.
I'm Midshipman John Vega, first class, and I got to go to Northern Europe, and then I was on the USS Comfort, and I got to go all over the Caribbean, South America, and Central America.
I get to work, so I'm throwing on my boots. I'm with the rest of the unlicensed deck gang, and I look around me and it kind of hits me that I'm in an environment that's foreign to me. I'm from Minnesota, small town. Obviously, there's a certain culture that I grew up in, and I'm looking around, looking at the people in the room with me, and I realize it's a little different. This is something new. And so I look across from me, and I see this older man, rough beard. His name is Pedro. Pedro's from Cuba. He has multiple years at sea. Gritty-looking guy. He's a very outspoken Christian. He loves to wear his Jesus Saves hat. He's our bosun. If you ever want to talk to him about his beliefs, he's more than willing and outgoing really to express them to you. To his left was Muhammad. Muhammad was from Yemen. He was a man who was in his 40s, looked a lot older, hard worker, spoke a little bit of broken English, but loved his crew and loved working out at sea. And then next to him was Fred. Fred is from the Bronx, pretty New York guy. He had over 13,000 days at sea, plethora of knowledge, 2 sons that are in the Air Force that he's very proud of. And then I look back around, I look at myself, and it's my first day at sea, and I'm a 19-year-old Kings Point cadet. And what hit me in this moment, and what I kind of learned as I continued out at sea, is that diversity in culture is so much more than just our appearance. It's how we think, what we believe, why we choose certain things, and the decisions we make. And so as I watched this group, as we progressed over my 102 days on the Maris Hartford, one thing really stuck out to me. And one thing, especially with cultural competency, that I believe is cultural competency is one of the tools in our tool bags to become great leaders. And so just like any tool or any skill, you have to practice it, you have to sharpen it. We get that ability out at sea. And I think one of the ways we can sharpen this tool and we can improve our ability as leaders, as people that influence others, is through building relationships.
So going out there, I was a little bit scared, and I definitely had some preconceived notions, especially with the media, politics, America, China, trade war, what was happening, Hong Kong, all that was happening while me and Vincent were there, and we were also there during the coronavirus outbreak, and that was like a whole other deal. But luckily, me and Vincent were able to, sit down and open our eyes to this Chinese culture and experience the food, being very friends, went to Shanghai, learned about the architecture, drank a bunch of tea, and Vincent definitely learned a lot more Chinese than I did, but we carried our phones, we tried to communicate with them. And I think that really helped our experience, just to know how life in China is. A lot of these preconceived notions that I had, in America, gone the second I stepped in China, the food they ate, how how they acted and all that. I was like, everything that I heard in America was just not true about China. And so that went well when I started working in the shipyard because obviously there were a bunch of Chinese workers and I was able to talk about, oh, I just went to Shanghai, saw the bun, or I went to Beijing, went to the Great Wall. Like, can you tell me a little bit of that? And they love to talk about their culture. And it was a great experience for me to sit down and learn from that. So on the other side, the port engineer, he was a KT grad, I think 2000, 2001, was not open to like the Chinese experience in Chinese culture, and that really affected the work environment. So definitely as leaders, he was in charge of the whole ship. Should be proud of him. There's a photo up there, but not anymore. But you can see there's probably like hundreds, 500 Chinese working on the ship, and maybe 20 Americans. So communication was a very important aspect, and the port engineer just he didn't want to like take the time to learn like the common respect that the Chinese had at China that we don't have in America. Like when the bow, like you just show up, make American, shake your hand, like all right, let's start to speak. This is not my friend done. And Chinese would do it; they're really good workers, but it could have been done in a more efficient manner. And honestly, he always complained about his time in China being hell. He didn't want to be there. It's a 9-day project, so you have to like get through every day. He was barely getting through it. Sometimes just want a burger or a cheeseburger. But you have to realize when you're in China, not everyone gets this amazing opportunity to try, these different types of food, wonton balls, tea, all this stuff. So I think if you could do it again, go back and be able to like re-experience it and be more open to these Chinese workers, their lifestyle, their food, you probably would have had a better experience, and the ship probably would have got done a lot better. So that's what I have to say. Whenever you like go to a different country, whenever you hear about that country, just kind of put it to the back of your head and let them talk to you. Just ask them questions. Try to figure out what they're all about before you try to put on your beliefs.
And so I went into it so excited, but also alone. There was no rule book, there was no guidelines. So I decided to wear the full dress. All I had was the knowledge going into it. And so I put on my hijab, nothing but my ankles were showing. And later, after the meeting, during our goodbyes, the head woman, she sat me down and she was like, I just want you to know that the moment I knew I could respect you is when you walked in respecting our values. You walked in with that headdress on, and we knew we could trust you. And that's why I got to experience what I experienced and learn what I learned. But as this training goes, I realized I didn't have all the pillars I needed. I walked in there with 50 questions ready to go, and every single one of those questions had a little bit of my opinion in them and my American bias. And as soon as we sat down and all the women were talking and giggling, they unwrapped their headdresses, and they just looked so comfortable all of a sudden. So I jumped into my first question. I was so excited. I'm very passionate. And I asked them if they ever felt like they didn't want to wear it anymore, like they wanted to take it off. And for a good 5 minutes, they sat there laughing at my first question. So immediately I was like, yikes, okay, this is not going to go good. But as the laughter died down, they kind of explained to me, they really explained to me everything that was behind it, the religion, the purpose, the feeling it gave them. And that's the moment I realized that all 50 of my questions didn't need to be asked. I was just going to be there to learn what they had to say, to experience with an open mind, to be able to sit there and absorb everything they had to give me. Even though I did have this agenda, I could learn so much more from just sitting back and listening. And that's the moral of my story is if you sit back and listen in any situation, you may have an agenda going in, you may have something that you want to take away from it, but most of the time, there's way more to learn by keeping that open mind, by sitting back and listening to everything someone has to say.
It was a great passion. I was super excited. I had 2 seat partners. It was twice the fun. It was me and midshipman running, and we have heard rumors about this captain being disruptive or poking his head wherever he was supposed to be. And I didn't want to believe it, but a couple of days before our Atlantic crossing, I started noticing a trend when you would come up to the bridge or was on deck, was he was just disrespectful or condescending to whatever we would say to him. Any questions we would ask, he would just shoot us down. And at first, that was just it's kind of annoying because we just wanted to learn. We were there just to get our days and finish our projects, but we had this leader that didn't want to be involved with us. And as soon as we got into Abu Dhabi, we picked up a pilot, and I brought up the pilot. I was speaking to him all the way up from the elevator, and he spoke perfect English. He went to school, University of Texas, and he got his license from England. So pretty much he's been all around the world, and he's very educated. I brought him up to the bridge, and my captain immediately just shot him down. He expected him to have broken English. He didn't know what he was doing. His license didn't mean anything. And to me, that was surprising because I was super impressed with this pilot. He spoke perfect English. He's connected with me on different levels. He told me about his cultural background. I spoke to him about being Hispanic in America, and he was open to it. And I had this very big opinion on him. And my captain just shot him down immediately. He just didn't want to listen to him. And that was just surprising to me. And it kind of broke my heart to see that because I don't think anyone should be treated that way.
Being culturally competent is especially pertinent to this school in general. So from Jimmy Goldad, learning about his diverse deck crew, he knew the importance of building relationships. And so he challenged all of you guys to, when you go out to sea, build a relationship with somebody and learn about their background and really everything that they're about. And I'm going to challenge you guys further to start building those relationships here with your peers, because we're going to be here together for 4 years, and it's going to be pretty reasonable to learn about the people that you're with 24/7. So for Jim and Hammer, being in China, really the big point was the preconceived notions of going into China and not really understanding fully what their culture was about, and then finally spending the time there, being open-minded and learning about their culture, really just eliminated all of those unconscious biases and anything that he thought poorly of China because of media here today or just any preconceived notions that he might have had. And he talked about his port engineer who wasn't really open-minded, and it really did affect the efficiency of the workplace. Just being a leader and showing people that you care about their culture can really, really help with the work environment and efficiency. For Jim From, being at the Muslim Women's Book Club, she was fully dressed in the hijab, only showing her ankles, and immediately gained all those women's trust. And so that was a big thing in showing right away that she cared about their culture. And so she didn't have to really work hard or say a certain thing. She just walked in showing that she cared about their culture. And really emphasize that sometimes when you're learning about a culture, you just have to sit back and listen. And that's hard for us as Americans to just sit back and really be quiet and listen to somebody else's culture, but you can really learn a lot when you're doing that. So for Mitchum and Acevedo Perez, he had the disrespectful captain that really overall disrupted the work environment because of his attitude, and he really didn't want to work with them. And so definitely being the deck cadet, there's going to be other people higher up that are the officers that don't want to work with him either. So that just creates a very hostile work environment that not really anybody wants to work in. And talking with the pilot that came on, he had some preconceived notions, the captain did about the pilot, that he just didn't give to the pilot a chance at all to show them that he had proper English and really knew what he was doing. So we want to open this up and really listen from the upperclassmen. If you guys have any similar experiences, or please, if you have any questions about C, we want to bring this to more of a conversation-based approach. So we want to hear from you guys.
ABs out there, and I had a great time just kind of learning about their different cultures, learning about a lot of different food, learning about the languages that they spoke. Because every day they would get out of work, so I was on the same deck as the ABs. I had a roommate, which was my sea partner, Brendan Malone. And every day from like 5:30 to around 11 or midnight, all the ABs would be out there with their rice cooker, cooking different types of food and stuff. They didn't eat in the galley, they just sat there and they'd eat all types of food, have fun, talk, listen to music. And they would always come over and invite me out to hang out with them. So I do like a little sea prize, come out about 9, and then hang out with them till 11. Just sitting there talking. They talk about their kids. They talk about being back in the Philippines, going to the Philippine Maritime Academy, and they showed me a whole bunch of different like food, like lumpia. I learned about different fruits like lychee, dragon fruit, durian, like just trying all kinds of stuff. It was just a great experience, and I really push everybody to be open to trying different stuff like that. Like, this was stuff I'd never heard of, and it's some of the greatest food I've ever tried now. Learning different, like Tagalog was another language. I'd never heard Tagalog before I got on the ship. And I learned that it was very similar to Spanish. Really cool. So I learned a few words in that. So yeah, don't be afraid to talk to different people, whether they're AVs, whether they're officers, it doesn't matter. Just be open, ask questions. You can learn a lot from everybody.
The last thing we'll leave you guys with is just to wrap this up. Think about being out there in the middle of the ocean, just steaming along. Think about a fire breaking out. At that point, when that fire breaks out, ethnic backgrounds, whether you're a male or female, or what you believe in when it comes to something, or an argument you may have had with someone, or even a disruptive captain, at that moment when you feel the integrity of the ship is being depleted, at that moment that you feel you are on your last day, all of that does not matter. Ethnicity, male, female, all that doesn't matter. Because you're going to get next to that person, hold that fire hose, and make sure that you help the ship maintain its integrity. Not only that, but you make sure the whole crew gets to go home and see their family. So why, when on your last day, would that not matter? And how come, why can't we just live like that right now? Can we have that open-mindedness? Can we have that awareness and that respect for each other? That is what today was about. Thank you to the team. Thank you for everyone for coming. It was great. Have a great weekend.